Hey guys, the Super Review Show here for another episode of Why You Should Listen To. This is the episode where I break down Spotify streaming numbers and the artists that I name off they're just that good. You have to listen to this band or artist. They're just that good, or he or she is just that good. So today I'm actually, as the title of this video you might be wondering why, Kiss, the glam shock rock hard rock band from the 70s. Going into the 80s and into the early 90s as well. And one of the biggest bands today. Yes, they're on their farewell tour still. Sadly, I have not seen them yet on their farewell tour. I saw them once in 2009, and they were amazing live. With pyrotechnics and explosions and solos left and right. It was an amazing show. It was my first concert ever in 2009, and I was seeing Kiss. So for just Kiss, to begin everything, Kiss. This band is one of the first two bands I ever listened to in my life. They were like, them and U2 were the first two bands I really ever listened to as a human being on this planet. They have a very special meaning to me. I love their work. I love just about a lot of stuff they've done. I love a lot. Their best album is Destroyer. There's no doubt about it. I know it sounds like a cop-out because it's like everyone goes to that one. But out of all of their albums that they've ever made, it's Destroyer, which I'm going to get to in a second. I have a couple of their albums on vinyl, believe it or not, for you guys to look at. But one of the things I just want to talk about really quick before we get to those is that Kiss, as I said, it was one of the first bands I ever listened to. I love these guys. Paul Stanley, Gene Simmons, early members such as Ace Frehley and Peter Criss in the original makeup era in the 70s. Then the 80s came and they took off the makeup. And then they had different members. They had Vinnie Vincent. They had Eric Carr on drums. His death turns 30 in November, which is crazy. And into the 90s with like Bruce Kulick. They did a reunion with Ace and Peter. Now, I'm a big Kiss fan. I really like them quite a bit. And I know a lot of my recent videos of why you should listen to are primarily it's Springsteen or it's Bryan Adams or U2. They kind of fit into that mold, and I wanted to kind of break out of that mold for all of you guys who are watching and listening. Kiss to me is not just one of my favorite bands of all time, but one of the best live acts of all time. Rolling Stone magazine did a list in 2011 of the greatest live acts of all time in 2011, whether the bands were formed still or disbanded. And Kiss reached the top 10. They were number 10 on the greatest live acts of all time list. And I believe the list went Kiss from 10 to 1. Kiss, The Grateful Dead, Pearl Jam, Led Zeppelin, U2, Queen, Pink Floyd, The Who, the Rolling Stones, and Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band. They were saying how that's when, and by the way, just letting you know, that's not Rolling Stone doing it. Like, they let the fans rank them, and then they said, if you're unhappy with the results, only blame yourselves, which is true. Springsteen came in number 1, and the Stones, Who, Pink Floyd, just some of the best live acts of all time listed right there. But Kiss was number 10. Kiss, and they have a special place in my heart as the first concert I've ever been to personally, and I love them. I think that their rock and roll it's rock and roll. To me personally, it's some of it's about sex, some of it's about like women. When they got the Destroyer, it was a little bit different though. Like, they started singing about like just different things about like I'm driving on a highway with Detroit Rock City. Shout It Out Loud, one of their best songs in my opinion. The funny story, the thing behind Rock and Roll All Night actually was that their manager said you need a song that should get the crowd going and getting pumped up and get them going, pumping their fists. So Paul Stanley wrote part of Rock and Roll All Night, the chorus of it, where I want to rock and roll all night and party every day, and coupled it with Gene Simmons' song Drive Me Wild, and they made the two merge together, and that's how we got one of the best rock songs of all time. So that's a little backstory on Kiss. I have listened to Paul Stanley's Autobiography. I do have a copy of it as well. It is a lot of fun to read, and it's very interesting to see how things went down in the 70s and 80s and 90s with Kiss. His life story, where he came from, how he grew up, where he sees them going now. It's a really, if you haven't read his autobiography, I really recommend getting it. It's really good. But let's get to some albums, shall we? So I don't have their debut. I don't have Hotter Than Hell. I do not have Dressed to Kill, and I don't have Alive, but I do have their follow-up to Alive, which was, in my opinion, their best album. Hands down, Kiss's Destroyer. This album, to me, is amazing. Look at that, guys. That looks amazing. I absolutely love this album. Everything from Detroit Rock City to King of the Nighttime World. I heard that song live. God of Thunder, Great Expectations. Side 2, because you had to flip the vinyl over. Flaming Youth, Will Set the World on Fire. Sweet Pain, Shout It Out Loud, Beth, and Do You Love Me? Beth is a great song. It's Peter Criss's only song, really, that he did for the band. Look at this cover. Look at that cover of Kiss. One of the greatest covers of all time. Check that out, guys. And on the back it says Kiss fan mail to Grand Central Station, New York City. Kiss uses Gisbin drums and Pearl drums because they want the best. You wanted the best, and you got the best. The hottest band in the world, Kiss. Their next album I have, actually, I found it at a local record shop that I have up near me, and it's Rock and Roll Over. Look at that album cover first. Look at that. That is an album cover to be reckoned with. Rock and Roll Over was amazing with such songs as See You in Your Dreams, Hard Luck Woman, Love 'Em and Leave 'Em, Making Love, Take Me, I Want You, Calling Dr. Love, great song, Baby Driver, Ladies Room, and Mr. Speed. This is just a fantastic album. Eddie Kramer produced it. He came out in 1976. So in the mid 70s, Kiss was everywhere. They were pumping out content. They released 6 albums within 3 years. That's really a lot. And then after I don't have Love Gun because I haven't gotten around to getting the rest of Kiss's catalog from the 70s. But they have Kiss Alive 2, which I saw this and I saw this, I had to get this. Kiss Alive 2, which was basically a live album, kind of Alive 1, then they made Alive 2. Alive 2 was basically them live on recording. And so they just did it again with Detroit Rock City, King of the Nighttime World, Ladies Room, Making Love, Love Gun. Next side 2 was Calling Dr. Love, Christine 16, great song. Shock Me, Hard Luck Woman, Tomorrow and Tonight, all great songs. I Stole Your Love, Beth, God of Thunder, I Want You, Shout It Out Loud. Now, the funny story, I was listening to Paul Stanley's audiobook, which, by the way, you can find his audiobook on YouTube, just scattered around. It's kind of cool. You can click on different parts of his life and different chapters and stuff. The fourth side of this vinyl, when they released it, they actually had a bunch of covers on it, which was very interesting. All American Man was a song by Jane. I forget who sung it. Rockin' in the USA. Larger Than Life. Rocket Ride was Ace Frehley's solo work. And Any Way You Want It was not the Journey song. It was the Dave Clark 5 from back in the 50s. Here, let me show you the back. How about that? That's crazy. So the track listings right there about how they did this. And the side 4 is just a couple of other songs and covers that they did too. Overall, I love this album a lot because hearing Kiss live, there's something magical about it. And I don't want to use the word magical, but it really is purely live entertainment is magic to me. Seeing a band live or an artist live there's no better experience than me personally. Like, when people say I love experiences, I love I love going out a little bit. My experiences are going to concerts. I love going to shows so much. But Kiss was the first show I've ever seen ever in 2009, and I was floored. I loved the performance I did. It was just amazing. So, why should you listen to Kiss? Well, for starters, they're on their farewell tour now, and they are going to wrap up shop in a couple years. I think Paul Stanley said 2023 they're going to be officially done. Yes, they did a farewell tour in 2000, but that was for retiring at Ace Frehley and Peter Criss. Because if you read Paul Stanley's autobiography, you'll understand that Peter Criss and Ace Frehley did a lot of crazy drama with them too. So just something for you. I don't want to get too much into it, but basically there's stuff about that online, and I recommend reading his book too to figure out. I'm not a shameless plug for his book, but I recommend figuring out what happened in his book personally. But why should you listen to Kiss? Well, because Kiss to me is a timeless rock and roll band. The name alone is timeless. Kiss. And when you say, oh yeah, I've heard of them, the guys with the makeup, right? Yeah, it's them. So personally, I think you should listen to Kiss. The only really heavy Spotify streamed song on there is I Was Made for Loving You off Dynasty, which actually how Desmond Child, for those who don't know who he is, Desmond Child got into the music business. He had writing hit songs for everyone, such as from Aerosmith to Kiss to even pop stars nowadays like Dua Lipa. He's still around writing songs for all these big people. Like, it's crazy. But Desmond Child got his started with I Was Made for Loving You, which is kind of like a disco song for Kiss. I mean, some people online are like, it's not a disco song, it's a hard rock song. The story behind I Was Made for Loving You goes like this. Paul Stanley and Desmond Child wrote the song together. And he based it off of a night he spent in studio. At the time, aside from rock and roll, disco was going on. And Kiss released, Paul Stanley was dancing at Studio 54. He was going nuts. He said that no one really danced like John Travolta from Saturday Night Fever, but disco was a big thing. So he wrote a song called I Was Made for Loving You, which has the same 126 beats per minute song, which is what he did. And then they made the song I Was Made for Loving You. And it became a really big hit for Kiss in the late 70s. Going into the 80s was rough because like they had Unmasked, they had Music of the Elder. Not good. Even the hardcore Kiss fans like, yeah, that's not good. Then they did Creatures of the Night, which I thought was brilliant. A little more heavy metal, hard rock to me. Then they did the 80s. They were flying, like album tour like every year. It was crazy. Lick It Up, Animalize. What's the one? With Tears Are Falling. Heavens on Fire, Tears Falling. I can't think of it off the top of my head. Anyways, but there's I forgot what it was called. For the Kiss fans out there who know what I'm talking about, it's the album with Tears Are Falling on it. Asylum. That's the album. See, my brain's working tonight. Asylum. Then they did Crazy Nights with Crazy Nights on it. A very commercial song, but it was really a big hit for them at the time. And then they just kept going. They tried grunge in the late 90s with Carnival of Souls. Revenge was a different album though. Revenge in the early 90s was a more heavy, darker album for them. And they made hard rock songs after, which to me, like looking back at that, like I wasn't alive then. I just turned 23 like this past Friday, so don't blame me. But they had so many songs. Like Crazy Nights was such a pop rock song, and then Revenge comes out and it's just a lot darker. So it's just, and Hot in the Shade with had Forever on it. It's forever, So that's another one too. They had a lot of success over the course of the past several decades. And they are a great live band. So if you haven't seen Kiss live, go see Kiss live. If you haven't gotten into them, get into them. They're a hard rock band. They've been around for a long time. Paul Stanley is a very great guitarist. He's a very great musician in general. I recommend that you should listen to Kiss. That's why I say you should listen to Kiss. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you like what you've seen here, subscribe to this channel. And but for all of your why you should listen to videos, keep it locked on the Super Review Show. The J-Man is off to rock. We're going to rock on all night and party every day. And we'll see you guys later.